Everyone. Welcome to you on this webinar on BIS registration and compliances. We are practicing GST, customs, but what we have noticed recently that customs and GST laws pose a lot of challenge in compliances, but alongside that, ancillary laws are also becoming equally important to comply with for continued supply chain. Therefore, we thought that let's share our experience and knowledge around BIS registration, which has become a bone of contention with the customs authorities, because every day some ministry is issuing some QCO, quality control orders, through which BIS standards are made applicable on the products. Now, in the context of, so we all know that, BIS is there, ISI marker is there. But what is the relevance of it in the indirect taxes is very important for us to understand, because now it is going to impact all of us. We all have been seeing the ISI mark on electronic or electrical goods since our childhood. But recently, what is happening, India is also putting a lot of non-trade barriers or non-tariff barriers on the goods which are imported in India. The context is that we want to maintain the quality, and obviously quality is one of the main criteria. We have global commitments to support the ESG initiatives, and the maintaining quality of products is one of the commitment India has given in the Indian Standards Organization and various other international forums, that we will not allow inferior quality manufacturing or imports, because ultimately that is going to pollute the environment and it is going to cost us a lot in a long term. So that is why all the governments, not only Indian government, all the governments are imposing the quality standards in their countries, so that quality of goods coming into can be maintained. Now, India cannot impose any condition on the goods which are being imported. So there should be an equal or the same footing on which everybody should be treated alike. So that is why these standards are applicable on the goods which are manufactured domestically, as well as they are applicable on the same goods if they are imported from outside India. Now, since they are applicable on goods which are manufactured outside India, it becomes important for us to, and for goods which are manufactured domestically, there is no check. I mean, somebody manufactures, sells within country, no, there is no check in it. However, if the goods are being imported from outside India, in that situation, customs authorities are the gatekeepers. They can always check whether the goods are complying with the relevant standards or not. If the goods are not complying, definitely customs authorities are going to stop the imports. So given this particular, the problem which has arisen in the recent past, and it is going to continue forever, it becomes imperative for us to understand that what is BIS registration and how to do its compliances, so that the operations of organizations we are serving are not impacted. Moving towards in this direction, we are going to cover today what is BIS, who can register, procedure, non-compliances, and what to do with the existing inventory, etc. And then we will cover the registration of imported goods. And then at the last 15 minutes of this session, we will cover the questions, which are there with you. So as we know that the BIS standards are set by the Bureau of Indian Standards. So Bureau of Indian Standards will, set up these standards. They will nominate the laboratories for testing these standards. They will train people. They will do consumer awareness, but they cannot make these standards mandatory on any product. Their job is to set these standards and be at side. They cannot make the standard mandatory on any product. The Bureau of Indian Standard, apart from setting these standards, India is also part of Indian International Standards Organization, which we call it ISO. Therein, India also contributes in setting the standards. Those standards sometimes are adopted domestically. Sometimes we tweak them and set our own standards, keeping in mind the domestic manufacturing. So BIS as such an organization only sets the standards, but the making standard mandatory is not in their hand. Now we have to register. Who will grant us the registration? We are going to cover at the later part of our presentation. But it is important for us to understand that in what capacity are we required to register, whether as an importer, trader, or manufacturer. So here we will respond to this, but we have put up a small poll on this. Komal, can you display the poll? And I will request all the participants to, give your answers. And then we will discuss as to who is actually required to register under or obtain the BIS registration. Komal? Yeah.
Is it visible, sir?
Yes, yes, yes. So I will request everybody to kindly vote here. Who as per you is required to take registration under the BIS regulations or whosoever authority is granting the registration. Are we done?
I believe so.
Okay, let's see the results. Great. So there are three categories we discussed here because they are going to be impacted. And I would also like to mention here that our main focus is on the goods which are imported in India. And what is the, BIS registration requirement for them. So if we talk about who can take registration in the context of even the domestic manufacturing, then importers cannot take registration, traders cannot take registration. Only and only a manufacturer will be allowed to take the registration. Why? Because the quality of any product can be maintained at the manufacturer level. Trader and importer or any person in the supply chain cannot ensure that the product meets the quality standard set up by the BIS. Hence, only and only the manufacturer can ensure it. That is why the regulations are applicable on the manufacturer. Now, the manufacturer may be situated here within India or he may be situated outside India. If the manufacturer is situated outside India, then that manufacturer's premises will be registered under BIS, not the importer or the person who is dealing with him. So the application for registration cannot be moved by any person, either importer or trader. The manufacturer will only move the application with Indian authorities. And what are the challenges, how to do that? We will cover that in the next part of presentation. Now, with respect to the application procedure, if you want to take the registration, then the procedure, per se looks like very simple. You file an online application. Authorities will come and see your production process. They will also see whether, your product is meeting the quality standards given in the particular IS standard. You pay the fees and the registration is granted. Procedure looks like very simple. However, it is not as simple as, it looks on the face of it. Why? Because authorities from India travel to your plant outside India. They will not only test the product, they will also test whether you are capable to manufacture the quality product or not. If the production plant does not have the capacity, the necessary plant machinery engineers, or the testing facilities, authorities are not going to certify or grant the license. If the license is not granted, those products cannot be imported into India, as simple as that. There is no way out to it. And there is no timelines, additional extended timelines allowed to the importers. So importers have to be very careful. Sorry, foreign manufacturers have to be very careful. Lots of applications have been rejected just because the overseas manufacturer was meeting the condition of manufacturing, but he was not having the requisite testing facility. So authorities said that, okay, you are meeting the quality standard when we have come to test, but how would you ensure when we go back? So you should also have in-house testing facility to ensure that the BIS quality standards are met. And in that scenario, they rejected the application. Now coming to, suppose you are an importer, the products have been notified under BIS is there, but your product was not notified as a mandatory product for BIS registration, and somehow you import it or you do the violation, you manufacture the product either India, outside India, without meeting the quality standard. In that situation, if this is a first contravention, then imprisonment up to 2 years is there, and fine up to 2 lakh rupees can be imposed, or both can be there. Any subsequent, contravention will again attract imprisonment up to 2 years, but the fine will increase from 5 lakh up to 10 times of value of goods, or both may be levied. So the penal consequences do not look like very stringent apart from, imprisonment. However, the disruption in operation is certain if one does not meet the quality standards. Why? Because if you don't meet the quality standard, it is not just manufacture. You cannot store the goods, you cannot sell the goods, you cannot trade in the goods. You cannot keep those goods in your premises, even that is an offense. A few days back, you would have seen in the newspaper and TV that, the BIS authorities raided the premises of warehouses of Amazon and Flipkart, and they found that certain goods were there, which didn't have the BIS or ISI mark on them, and they confiscated those goods and imposed the penalty not only on the manufacturers but on Amazon and Flipkart also. So it becomes imperative for us to understand that it is a bigger business disruptor than GST and customs, because you can't carry out the business at all. You have to stop. And the inventory which is not compliant has to be destroyed. Or what is the alternative? We will discuss that in the later part. So here it is. Now suppose you have a stock at your premises which is not compliant with BIS. You imported it 6 months back, and suddenly after import was complete, BIS was made mandatory on your product. The inventory couldn't be sold on time. It is lying there, and today on 22nd April, the BIS had been made mandatory on your product, but you have unsold inventory. Then what to do with that? So you cannot sell the non-compliant inventory at all. That is very, very clear. If you do that, then that's a violation, and authorities can levy heavy penalty on you. What is the remedy to overcome this situation? The remedy is that you go and please obtain a certificate of conformity, not BIS registration. So certificate of conformity is a one-time procedure or a temporary registration granted by the authorities with respect to particular lot of inventory or the goods. So they will check whether that particular lot of inventory or goods comply with the BIS standard or not. If it complies, then they will give you a certificate of conformity mentioning the BIS number and the quantity and the lot, and you can sell those goods. But in that particular situation, you don't need to mention the IS number, etc. on the product, and you can sell the goods and you are compliant. In case it is found that on testing that your products do not meet the quality standard, unsold inventory does not meet the quality standard, it's a very difficult situation. One has to actually discard it. So the implications of managing the BIS compliances or not managing the or missing the BIS compliances are quite severe, because it directly allows you or disallows you from selling a particular part of inventory. So the unsold inventory, you go for certificate of conformity. And for future imports or manufactured products, you have to take the regular BIS license from the BIS authorities, and then you can carry out the business. Otherwise, business cannot be carried out. It is as simple as that. Now, so this was a situation wherein the on the product BIS standards were applicable or standards were notified. But there may be some products on which BIS standards have not been made at all, or your product is better than the quality standards set up by the BIS. So this is a very peculiar situation. So suppose if standard says that your product should have a particular quality parameter, and your product exceed those quality parameter, then also you are out of standard. You will not be granted the registration. What should happen in that situation? So if there is no BIS, or you are exceeding the expectation, in that situation there is no formal procedure to get an NOC or a buy-in from the authorities. That situation requires a proper planning, approaching the authorities well in time, and request them to issue an NOC or a letter or a clarification saying that we are better than BIS, or our product or the BIS has not been notified on our product, or our product has a particular feature than the product on which BIS has been made applicable. So something needs to be done. So in this respect, if we see that the Ministry of Steel particularly has made up a very well laid down process. They have made a website, TCQCO. In that website, you go, the products which are not falling in BIS, you go and apply for an NOC. Within 15 days or 20 days, they issue an NOC to you, basis that you can do your business. Similarly, METI, the Ministry of Electronics, they also have a procedure of issuing NOC on the products which are not falling under BIS. Or suppose if you want to do one-time imports, they allow you to do that. But the other ministries do not have any such laid down process. Particularly in case of DPIIT, they are not a technical ministry. They are also making the BIS standards mandatory on various products, but they don't have any well laid down or defined mechanism to issue clarification or NOCs. So the products other than the steel products or the electronic products, there is a great challenge. If you don't approach them on time, the business is going to be heavily impacted. Recently, what we have seen that authorities are receptive, BIS authorities are receptive to issue the clarification. So for that, one has to approach through the line ministry, the ministry which made the standards mandatory. So like if we talk about chemicals, so the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers will make the standards mandatory, and one has to go through them to the BIS to seek a clarification. So it's a long drawn process, maybe 4, 5, 6 months it may take to get an NOC or clarification from the authorities. So planning is very important, knowing and planning. Now coming to the the particular part of how to get a certification or a BIS license on imported goods, because this is where the maximum disruption in operation is being seen as of now. So we have to understand that what is BIS, and another term, what is QCO. So BIS, we discussed that it is an quality standard notified by, or the set up by the BIS authority, Bureau of Indian Standards. Those standards are not mandatory unless notified by someone. Who are those authorities which make the BIS mandatory? So the line ministries means ministries dealing with those particular products are authorized under Section 16 of BIS Act to notify those products as mandatory on the particular product. For example, if we talk about, say, suppose heavy machinery items, so Ministry of Heavy Industries will issue a notification which is called Quality Control Order, stating that product X, classification X, BIS number Y is being made mandatory. So those orders issued by the line ministries are called quality control orders. For the last 2 years or 2.5 years, we have seen that all the ministries are issuing the quality standards or the quality control orders left, right, center, because India has a global commitment, as well as India want to stop the the low quality or inferior quality imports, and also we want to plug certain countries. So that is why the quality control orders are coming every day. Now the problem is that you don't have a notified place or a centralized place wherein you can go and see that what quality control orders were issued in last 15 days. So you are open in dark, and one has to really set up some Google search or something, so that if their product are falling under any QCO, they can come to know. But there is no centralized portal by the government to inform them this to a particular industry. So one has to track it on themselves. Now, once the QCO has been issued, BIS is there, no problem. Moment QCO comes, problem starts. You cannot manufacture, you cannot store, you cannot import, you cannot sell, you cannot do anything with those goods. If the goods are there in your stock, obtain the certificate of conformity. For future imports, take a proper license. For taking the license, the QCO typically gives you a time of 6 months to obtain the registration, and the BIS authorities grant the registration. But what we have practically seen that it takes at least 6 to 8 weeks for a company to decide whether they will go for BIS registration or not. There are various considerations which we will discuss later, which come into picture the moment anybody decides to go for BIS. There are internal pushes, there are commercial regions, there are timelines, there are preparation for it. So a lot of work needs to be done. So in terms of decision making, that has to be done very fast, because after 6 months the business is going to stop. So there has always been a view that the small and medium enterprises in the QCO are allowed a little extra time to obtain the registration. That is not true. The time allowed to small and medium enterprises is only for the domestic manufacturer. Overseas manufacturers are considered large enterprises, and they do not get the additional time which is allowed for small and medium enterprises. So recently, I think the Commissioner of Customs at Bangalore Airport has clarified through a trade notice that the benefit of MSME or the extended time allowed to medium and small enterprises will not be allowed in case of imported goods. So that is again, so some customs authorities had been taken a lenient position in the past, but that is not going to happen in the future, or it may lead to litigation. So one has to be very careful in terms of timelines. Huge numbers. So recently, a press release was released by, PIB, and Minister of Consumer Affairs also responded in Parliament, saying that we have notified around 22,000 standards so far, and 187 QCO have been issued. 187, which cover approximately 769 products. And there are two horizontal QCOs. So what are horizontal QCOs? Horizontal QCOs means they do not cover any particular industry or product, any particular product, but the entire industry. Like if I say electronics industry, so all the electronic products are covered in that. Similarly, I say automobile industry, all the automobiles are covered irrespective of size, weight, value. So two horizontal QCOs, one is being implemented from 28th August, which covers the heavy machinery items like earth movers, forklifts, etc. And 187, and similarly, Ministry of Electronics has also issued one horizontal QCO covering all electronic appliances. Then there are 187 QCOs issued by different ministries, 769 products covered, but that is not true. If you read the QCO carefully, it not only covers the products, but the components of it also. Now, what are the components of a product? One has to go to the customs tariff, see the classification rules, and what are the products covered as part or component of a particular product. They are also covered in the particular QCO. Their import is also going to be restricted. If that is not being done, then that is a point wherein the customs authorities can stop the imports anytime, or they may order for confiscation of goods even though they have been cleared within 5 years from the date of import. So not only products, their components are covered. That is very, 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 very important for us to know. Now, what is the process? So process is very simple. First of all, self-evaluate applicability. Then approach your foreign manufacturer, because he is going to be registered, not you. So Indian party has no role in it other than being just an agent for a foreign manufacturer. File an application with the file an application with the BIS. So QCO was notified by the line ministry, but the application will go to the BIS because they set up the standard and they can only evaluate or comment on it. So application has been filed. So application is not very difficult. It can be filed, very simple application. After that, BIS official is nominated to visit the particular country. Typically for one particular BIS, they go for 3 days. Therein, they will see the manufacturing capability and the testing facility of the organization, as well as the people who are in control of educational qualification and experience of people who are in the who are controlling the quality parameters. Once they are satisfied, they will conduct a test live in the in-house laboratory of the manufacturer. That test result should be positive as per the BIS standards. Then they will dispatch one sample for testing in Indian laboratory because they don't trust the overseas manufacturer. He can do some hanky-panky thing for a short period of time. So one sample is dispatched from overseas to Indian laboratory. Indian laboratory will also conduct the testing as per the testing parameters. And then they will submit their report to BIS. If everything is okay, BIS will issue an agreement, which is on a 100 rupees stamp paper. Both the parties sign the agreement. Even the Indian representative can also sign the agreement. The agreement is signed, then they will ask you to deposit the license fee, marking fee, a bank guarantee of 10,000 USD. Once this is done, and the registration is issued. Now the registration process takes at least 4 to 6 months time. One has to be very, very careful about the timelines, as I reiterated it many times. Registration, once granted, will be valid for only 1 year. So after 1 year, you have to again go to the BIS and get it renewed, but the process is not that difficult. You have to tell them that you are continuing with the same, the manufacturing process. The visit will not happen. You have to deposit the license and marking fee again, and they will, issue the license, which will be valid up to 5 years. So that is up to them, but generally they grant it for 5 years. Now here, what we have seen that visit to China is not happening these days, or happening in very, very rare cases. So government of India, I don't know, and probably we all know that for what reasons they have stopped visits by BIS officials to China. So the applications with respect to Chinese manufacturers are on hold for a quite long time. Now, key issues. So we have to understand that, okay, the process looks simple, everything is okay. Then what is the problem? So the problem is that the moment you tell your supplier that we want you to register in India for a particular quality parameter, the commercial aspect is the first thing which we have seen come into picture as to who is going to bear the cost, because cost may run up to $10,000 for one particular product. So who is going to bear this cost? Then timelines, it will take 4 to 8 months time. Country of supplier, we discussed that for China, it's not happening. What happens if the product is being manufactured not in one country, but in multiple countries it is being manufactured. Some parts are being manufactured and final assembly is happening in the country of supply. In that situation, the authorities visit the plant of all the countries wherein the some value addition happened. So that again adds to the timeline and the cost. So given this, we have seen that a lot of deliberation happens within the management when either they find that QCO was notified and they couldn't track it, or they tracked it and then when they start the journey, these are the key considerations we have seen that come into picture. Now let's see some more FAQs. Now IS stands for Indian Standard. Available for product. How to check if QCO issued? BIS is notified. How to know if QCO is also issued? So there is no centralized portal as we discussed. Try from Google search or give an alert to all your supply chain people, your consultants, that if they come across any QCO impacting your products, they can let you know. Now, if QCO has been issued, but you are not very sure whether your product is meeting those quality standards or exceeding the quality standards or below the quality standard, what to do in that situation? In that situation, buy the BIS standard from the site of BIS. Take the mill test certificate. MTC stand for mill test certificate. This is basically a technical document which gives all the physical and chemical properties of the product. You can also get the product tested from a independent lab, which is notified by BIS, or you can approach any of your consultant. We can also help in ascertaining whether the product is covered under the QCO or not. That is the first point to start. Can I sell existing inventory not marked with BIS? No. We discussed it already. You cannot sell the existing inventory if it is not marked with BIS. Go for certificate of conformity. Is customs clearance possible with an undertaking? Now your shipment has landed. You know that QCO has been notified. What to do in that situation? No, customs clearance with an undertaking is not possible. As per customs law, the products which are not compliant with the BIS standards or any ancillary law under section 111, they are liable to be confiscated and penalty can be levied. Customs authorities will force you to re-export the goods back. They will not allow the clearance at all. Do small and medium enterprises get additional time for registration? Yes, but this time is not allowed in case of foreign manufacturer. That is very important for us to remember. Can I sell existing in? Oh, so this question is repeated. We can ignore it. So these are the points from my side. Now we can take some questions from participants. Komal, where can we see the questions? Hello, Komal, can you hear me? Yeah, website.
Yes. So the questions are available in chat box only. There are no questions in Q&A section.
Okay, all right, all right. Okay, I'll respond to them. So Mr. Srinivas is asking that who exactly needs to take this BIS registration? Is it for Indian manufacturer or foreign supplier? So Mr. Srinivas, the BIS registration is required to the manufacturer. If somebody is manufacturing those goods in India, then Indian person is required to take manufacturer. If you are importing those goods from abroad, then the overseas supplier needs to take the BIS registration. What to do if the stock is already available? Mr. Devesh is asking. If the stock is already available, in that situation, you can go for, there is no need to worry, go for certificate of conformity from the BIS authorities. After that certificate comes, you can sell that stock in the market. Under METI or DETI, it is METI, Ministry of Electronics. Oh, you can call it Department of Electronic also. Both are same thing. How many times, how many time required for BIS license renewal process? So renewal is not very difficult. I think 4 to 6 weeks are enough for renewal. Can we refer HSN from bill of entry to ascertain? Can we refer HSN from bill of entry if BIS is applicable on a particular product like in scheme X order issued by MHI? Uh, so that's a very important question. Shelly Bajaj has asked this question, and Shelly, thank you so much for asking this question. See, the HSN codes mentioned in the QCO against a particular product are a good indicator to ascertain whether BIS is applicable on them or not, but they are not final. So if we read the QCO issued by the MHI, all the products of 8431 are not covered in the BIS. So we have to read the description and the HSN concurrently to ascertain whether they are covered or not covered. So simpliciter, the answer is no. We have to do a little, deeper study for that. I already have material imported. Mr. Shwetang is asking, I already have material imported from where I can apply for certificate of conformity. How will I know my material is BIS compliant? So you can apply, you can file an application at the BIS portal. If you want, we can also help you. In the BIS portal, we have to apply for certificate of conformity. But before that, we have to ensure that the product is meeting the BIS standard. If it is not meeting, then application will be rejected, and ultimately, then they will ask us to discard or destroy that material. Okay. So Tushar is asking if MTC value does not match with IS, then it must take an NOC for imported product. Yeah, Tushar, you are right. So MTC values may be better than standard or lower than standard. If they are lower than standard, probably we have to discuss with the authorities. If it is better than standard, then we have to take an NOC from the line ministry and the BIS, and then the imports can be done. In those situations, the BIS license will not be granted. Can BIS authorities impose penalty for violation under section 29 from manufacturer as well as trader? So the law is not that very clear, Mr. Brijesh, because the has never been really implemented so strongly. But in my view, it can be the penalty can be levied on the trader as well, because recently as I told you, the warehouses of Flipkart and the Amazon were raided by the authority just a week back for keeping the non-compliant inventory. So now Mr. Srinivas is again asking, sir, which portal is available for the registration? We are importing steel products from a foreign supplier who is a merchant exporter in each country. What to do in this case? So, sir, what will happen for steel products? TCQCO. TCQCO is the portal name that you have to refer. Therein, you can create a registration, and for importing steel products, I think there are 4 or 5 chapter headings which are given. If your product is falling in those chapter headings, you have to apply in TCQCO portal, and therein you need to take an NOC and then do the imports. If you don't have the NOC, and this is a simple and well laid down process for steel products, if you don't do that, then you will have a problem from customs authority if they stop the shipment. If BIS enforce from 1425 in India, okay, but when materials shipped from overseas, that time there was no BIS mandatory. Which date will consider for BIS applicability? So, sir, what happens that we have to, Mr. Ketan has asked this question, that shipment was already in transit. It landed in India on 1st April. So at the time of clearance, the standard is applicable. At the time of dispatch, it was not applicable. In that situation, we have to see the customs law. It says that at the time of clearance, whatever laws are applicable, they have So if the standard has become applicable, you probably will have a problem because customs authorities are not going to clear it. Authorities will say that you had a time of 6 months to take the registration, you didn't take it. Every QCO gives you time of at least 6 months to obtain the license. Mr. Brijesh is asking, how does product recall take place? Who is expected to recall the products sold online? Seller of online platform. How does product recall takes place? Obviously, in my view, the seller of online platform can recall the product, but again, since the seller has very little control on a large platform like Amazon, they will have to, talk to the Amazon also or the portal to help in recalling the product. This is a broader understanding. I really do not know how this e-com platform works. If a particular HS code, Mr. Tushar is asking, if a particular HS code is covered under QCO and imported earlier regularly, and if the item is imported under other HS code not covered under QCO, then what happens? So if you are changing the HS code, if the particular HS code under QCO imported, so if you are changing the HS code, most likely you will have a problem from customs authorities. The customs system is so, advanced right now that changing the HS code will invite a query from customs authorities. From BIS point of view, it remains applicable if the product is covered in any of the QCO. Can we import spare parts and motors and assemble the machines in India? Why can't? Why can't you do it? If your individual parts are not covered in QCO, you can import them. But however, if after complete manufacturing, the manufactured product is covered under BIS, it is applicable to you. You have to comply with you have to take registration in India. Mr. Ashish is asking, can we manufacture two types of products, BIS compliant or non-compliant? Yeah, that's up to you. Nobody stops your business. Nobody holds our hand. But whatever we are product are notified under QCO, they should meet the BIS standard. Otherwise, you are free to do manufacture any product. Any more questions? Devesh ji is asking, is this BIS going to get any less restrictive? In my view, sir, this is going to be dirtier only from here onwards. It is going to cover. So, like if we talk about US, therein 5,000 products are covered under the BIS. In India, we have just 750 or 800 products. So the list is going to go long only every day. And I mean, the quality is something, government is going to focus upon a lot because of environmental commitments also. Who is eligible for NOC? Anybody can take NOC if you feel that your product does not fall in any of the BIS standards. You can go for NOC from the BIS authorities through line ministry. My product does not require BIS CRS registration. Okay, no problems. But the customs is not. See, Mr. Shaya Swetlin is asking this question that the product is not covered under BIS. He knows it. But the customs is not allowing consignment. The problem is that the customs officer sitting at the port does not know the technicalities of the product and he is neither interested in understanding it. He believes only in stopping the product and somehow creating a problem. In that situation, it becomes important for us to obtain an NOC. He's asking how to get an NOC. So for NOC, sir, we can help you. We have to apply for NOC through line ministry. NOC once come, I think it will not have any end date. It will help you forever. So you can, get in touch with us and we can help you. If a product is covered under QCO, does that mean it is available in India? If a product is covered under QCO, does it mean that product is... So not necessarily. Quality standards are something different. They do not comment upon the availability of the product in India. Not necessarily. So there are a few more questions. What is the procedure of getting NOC? So procedure of getting NOC is that one has to prepare a technical document stating that what are the standards, how we are not falling in those standards, are we better than or we are inferior to those standards, or whether any standard has not been set up for our product. Then we have to submit that particular document, technical document, to the line ministry. Line ministry will forward it to the BIS. BIS will then issue the clarification, but that's a long drawn and involved process with both the authorities. Is there any manual guideline for BIS process? If yes, from where we can get it? We are doing this webinar. You can approach us. We will guide you again. Sir, can you please explain the concept of QCO? Okay. So Shubham is asking what is QCO. So as we know that the quality standards can be made, that okay, uh, for a particular, suppose tube light is there, laptop is there, they should have a particular kind of, say, if we talk about, say, tube light, it will should have a particular thickness of the glass, the light, the electric material which is used inside it should have a particular quality parameter. But that is mandatory or not? Every standard, BIS quality standard, is voluntary unless government says that it is made mandatory. So if you buy the toys these days or the footwear, on all the footwear and toys and the leather products, the BIS numbers are written because government had made it mandatory. If you see 6 months back, it was not written because BIS standards were there, but they were not mandatory. So the document which makes the standard mandatory, the document is called Quality Control Order. In some QC, Ayush is asking, in some QCO, they provide exemption to importer for BIS, in which there is some letter is asking to submit with central government. So who is this central government authority? I don't think any QCO is exempting any importer from BIS. However, to answer your question, the authority which issued the QCO, the letter seeking any clarification should be submitted to that particular authority, that particular ministry, basically. Another question is, one of my manufacturers from Germany also facing problems to get BIS. Is it only China which is facing issue, or another country also? So China has a special love and affection from the government of India. Germany doesn't have that kind of. So if your German manufacturer is facing problem, maybe it is something else, maybe something technical, which is stopping the BIS license being granted. But as such, government of India doesn't have any bias towards German manufacturers. With respect to submission of NOC, I have prepared technical documents. How should I apply to the line ministry? Can I mail them and expect a reply? You can mail them, but don't expect a reply. As I told you that, it's an involved process. One has to know the right people, pursue them, follow up with them, and request them to forward it to the BIS, because line ministry never issues the clarification. They will send it to the BIS. BIS is the authority which will. So the two authorities are involved. Automatically, it will not happen. Or at least I have not seen, but you should try. What is the concept of horizontal QCO? Okay, horizontal QCO is basically, so QCOs, if you see, they are directed towards a particular product. But if a particular industry or the product line is made or covered under the mandatory BIS registration regime, then that is called horizontal QCO. It is not a legal word, but it's a, you can say, a commercial word which is generally being used for two QCOs, one issued for electronic appliances and another for machinery items. But nothing to worry about it if you don't know the word horizontal. It's a QCO only. Okay. So Mr. Abdul Rahman has asked that what document should be given for exemption letter. See, sir, that is very subjective. If we are saying that our product is not covered in QCO or any BIS, then we have to prove it. what can be proof of it? So first is the technical document or the MTC we have with us, number one. Second is the independent test report, test report from independent laboratory. Third is our rationale or explanation that why we feel that there is no IS notified for our product and hence we should be issued an NOC. So MTC, independent lab test report, are the two documents which are general documents which are attached with every NOC application. Mr. Brajesh Kothari is asking, can two QCOs be made applicable for a single product? Quite possible. Generally, this should not happen, but theoretically it can happen. We are Ayush is asking, we are importers of spare parts and use it for integrated machinery, which is the final product. Whether this product, which are spare, are exempt. So first of all, there are no exemption to spare parts. So Ayush, here I would like to understand that your spare parts are covered under BIS as per your understanding or not? Okay. So if the spare parts are covered under the BIS, you use it for manufacturing, that does not, the applicability of BIS. For those particular spares, the BIS registration is mandatory. Oh, Shelly is asking where we can find the IS. Now, for IS, you can go to the BIS site. There is a particular section called Know Your BIS. In that, either Know Your Standard, sorry, Jatin, my colleague Jatin corrected me. Know Your Standard is the section in the BIS website. Therein, either you can write the BIS standard or your product name, and basis that it will show you that how many standards on a particular products are notified, issued so far. But knowing, Sally, again, I'm reiterating, knowing standard is not important. Knowing QCO is important. We are okay. If an item is covered under BIS, then sample can be imported without BIS license. As such, there is no exemption. But if a small quantity is coming as a sample, I think customs authorities would allow it. You can give an undertaking to the customs authorities that product is in sample. Sometimes you have to import the samples for the purpose of testing to ascertain whether BIS is applicable or not. These situations we have seen that customs authorities have been allowing the imports. Small samples, they have been allowing the imports basis the undertaking. So next question. Is gold jewelry, polished diamonds are also covered under BIS? So for gold jewelry, the hallmarking is there. Diamonds, sorry, I'm not aware. I'm yet to buy a diamond. So I'm writing my phone number and the email here. If anyone has any further questions, you can send me through email or WhatsApp. I'll try to respond. If there are no more questions, Komal, we can. Okay, Mr. Devesh is asking, I'm based out of New Delhi, where BIS also has its head office and all the ministries which are troubling you are located. Okay, Shubham is asking, I think this is the last question we can take. What is explain the process of BIS. So Shubham, I would like to, go to the PPT one more time to show you. You can take a pic also. And this PPT will be sent to you by Komal through email also. Let me go to the how to download this. So Ayush, this is the process you can take pick of, starting from self-evaluation on applicability. Sure. So thank you so much, everyone, for participation.